next, Christina's going to tell us about a topic that she likes / enjoys. So, Christina, what's something you like / enjoy, at least at this point in time?
I like / enjoy the question of, is the rapture happening this week?
Let's go.
First off, what do you think the rapture is? Or what would you say the rapture is?
The rapture is when Jesus comes back at the end of time and calls his people up to be with him. I believe in Revelation it says we'll see him coming on the clouds before we're actually raptured.
Okay.
I think.
Nice.
That's what I think.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to read a definition of what the rapture is and then kind of get into a little bit of the biblical basis for the rapture and then back to my question of, is the rapture happening this week?
Cool.
So what is the rapture? The rapture is a theological concept in Christian end times teachings, referring to an event where believers in Jesus Christ, both living and dead, are suddenly caught up or taken to heaven by God, sparing them from a 7-year period of great tribulation and judgment on the earth. So it's pretty much the belief that Jesus returns to earth kind of briefly and sucks up all the believers who are alive and those dead in their graves up to heaven. And then there's 7 years of great wrath and tribulation on the earth to punish the unbelievers before the final end of the age. It is often depicted as a dramatic, instantaneous occurrence, like snap of a finger, bam, all the Christians on earth suddenly gone to heaven. And it is tied to prophecies about the return of Jesus. And the idea isn't universal among Christians. It is most prominent in denominations such as Baptist, Pentecostal, and some non-denominational churches. So not all Christian traditions teach in that, like the Catholic Church does not believe in that at all. But Baptists and Pentecostals largely do. So a little bit of what you said was, kind of correct with the concept of Jesus returning. But that the believers get brought up to heaven in a second. So what is the biblical basis for the rapture, you might ask?
Yes.
So the term rapture or the rapture actually doesn't appear anywhere in the Bible, but the phrase is derived from a Latin word, which is rapio, which means to snatch away. So they took the Latin word rapio, snatch away, and turned it into rapture. There are 2 primary verses that those who believe in the rapture before 7 years of tribulation use as a defense for their beliefs. And that is 1 Thessalonians 4, 16 through 17. For the Lord himself will come down from heaven with a loud shout, with the voice of an angel, and with the trumpet call of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. And after that, we who are still alive will be caught up together with the dead in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. So kind of this idea of being caught up together relating to the Latin word snatch away.
Rapio?
Rapio. Yeah, R-A-P-I-O.
Okay.
And then the second verse that rapture teachers use is 1 Corinthians 15, verses 51 through 52. Listen, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, meaning die, but we will all be changed in a flash, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, the dead will be raised imperishable, and we will be changed. So again, the we will be changed and the in a flash kind of idea, pairing with the 1 Thessalonian idea of being caught up together. So while it doesn't say anything about the rapture explicitly, people take the phrase being caught up or changed in a flash to create a teaching for all believers being raptured.
Yeah.
Up to heaven. The fact that the term the rapture isn't found in the Bible was really surprising to me when I first discovered it about 12 or 13 years ago. I grew up in a home that, although we didn't teach on the rapture, I loved the Left Behind books, which were a very popular book series that came out in the 1990s into early 2000s. There was also a kids series, and it detailed what would happen on earth after the rapture. So it starts with all Christians are taken away to heaven, and then we got like 10 thick books on what happens afterwards.
Yeah.
So then I got to Bible school, and the Bible school I went to did not teach on the rapture being something that happened before the 7 years of tribulation. And I was like, what? You mean that's not in the Bible explicitly?
Yeah.
I can see obviously where people get that idea. And my goal is not to debate whether the rapture will happen or not. Many Christians who do not believe in believers being raptured prior to the tribulation do still believe that we will all be caught up to heaven with God.
Yeah.
So those verses still, they believe to be accurate, just being at the end of the age, not before 7 years of tribulation, which is a pretty key Christian teaching. So there's that. And it's interesting because the teaching on the rapture is a relatively modern concept in Christian theology. So teachings on the resurrection or Jesus' second coming have been taught since the beginning of the Christian church 2,000 plus years ago. But the concept of the rapture and its teachings can be dated back to about the 1830s. So a relatively new teaching in the last 200 years. And the first documented and verified teacher of the rapture was John Nelson Darby. And so he was a teacher who kind of started teaching on that concept. And it became more widely taught with the publication of the Scofield Bible. So the Scofield Bible was a Bible translation that was published in, I believe, 1907 that had footnotes in it, which interpreted certain Bible verses as proof of a pre-tribulation rapture. And this translation of the Bible sold millions of copies across the world and became the standard Bible in many biblical seminaries, which then produced pastors who taught this belief of the rapture to their congregation. So it really only kind of has been about 100-year-old primary teaching in the church.
Crazy.
Yeah. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. I didn't know that it was as new of a concept as that. So now to the fun question that inspired this topic. Is the rapture happening this week? So there is a man on the internet who has gained quite a bit of following in the last couple months for his teachings on YouTube that the rapture is going to happen this very week.
What's his name?
His name is Joshua Mhlakela. He's from South Africa, and he used to be a pastor, but he stopped pastoring to, quote, work on himself. So it is unsure if he got kicked out of the church that he was a pastor of, usually pastors don't just quit to work on themselves.
Yeah, totally.
So I don't know much more about him.
I cheated on my wife, which
Yes.
means I needed to work on myself.
Work on myself. So either on September 23rd or 24th of this year, so that's Wednesday or Thursday. Let me double check. Yep, Wednesday or Thursday. Joshua, who is from South Africa, claims Jesus appeared to him in a vision, revealing to him that the rapture will happen either this Wednesday or Thursday during the Jewish Feast of Trumpets.
Whoa.
There's also another Bible prophecy teacher. He's not a pastor from what I've found, but a prophecy teacher called Tim Henderson, who has also been putting out a lot of YouTube videos online claiming that the rapture will also occur either this Wednesday or Thursday during the Jewish Feast of Trumpets. So, yeah, as I mentioned, it's gotten quite a bit of following. There are people that are really supporting this. They've sold their houses. They're preaching preaching in the streets, telling people, repent, Jesus is coming back on Wednesday.
That sucks.
And so that gets on to my next question of, can we predict the rapture?
No, because only Jesus knows the day and the time.
Ooh, interesting. You mentioned that.
God does.
Yes.
Jesus doesn't even know.
Jesus doesn't even know.
No.
So in Matthew 24:36, Jesus himself says to his disciples, speaking of the end times, and again, he's not speaking explicitly of the rapture because that is not a phrase found in the Bible, but he is speaking of the end times, his return, the great judgment on the earth. And he says, but of that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but only my Father, implying that even he doesn't know. So this would imply that no one can know the day of Christ's return, or in turn know the day that the rapture is going to happen. Jesus is saying here in this verse in Matthew 24 that even he doesn't know, which can get into a whole other debate of like how Jesus is God, how can he not know, but whatever. Anyways, this verse alone, spoken by Jesus, immediately kills any biblical precedents for predicting the rapture.
Yes.
If only God knows the day and the hour of his return, then we can't know. Joshua Mhlakela claims that Jesus appeared to him and told him when the rapture would happen. Oof. So this doesn't work because
you should have said the Father appeared to me.
As stated by Jesus himself, he doesn't know the day or the hour.
Big oof.
Yeah. And prophecy teacher Tim Henderson's predictions also fall apart, but he claims that his predictions are accurate because both him and this Joshua guy are predicting the rapture will happen on either Wednesday or Thursday. Therefore, they don't know the exact day or the hour. It's like,
but we've narrowed it down.
One of the two.
Yeah. That's so dumb.
So first off, like there's just no biblical precedence.
No, not at all.
For predicting the rapture. And it can become dangerous. And I want to talk about some problems with predicting the rapture. As I mentioned before, these people that are believing what Joshua and Tim are saying about Jesus coming back on either Wednesday or Thursday have quit their jobs, sold their houses, are preaching in the streets to all their neighbors, repent, Jesus is coming back on either Wednesday or Thursday. Can't know the day or the hour. And this can have a great negative effect. First off, on people who truly believe that Jesus is coming back on Wednesday or Thursday, when he doesn't. That can cause great disappointment. It can cause people to leave the church, to not believe in God anymore. And it can also greatly affect the people that they are preaching to. If you're somebody who doesn't really believe in God, maybe you kind of do, and you have your neighbor come and tell you, Jesus is coming back Wednesday, and then he doesn't, that really could, that would make me not want to believe in that religion or that truth ever again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So rapture predictions have been going on for about the last 80 years. As I mentioned, the teaching of the rapture has only really picked up steam in the last 100. And there's probably like 10 rapture predictions I could go over, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to go over 3 primary ones and kind of talk about how it has negatively impacted people and all of that. So the first well-known rapture prediction is what is now known as the Great Disappointment. William Miller, a Baptist farmer, calculated Christ's return as being on October 22nd of 1844.
Okay.
His teachings attracted in between 50 to 100,000 followers via lectures and newspaper ads that he taught. We didn't have the internet back then, so it was through speeches he gave and then stuff that he put in newspapers. As I mentioned, he attracted nearly 100,000 followers. His followers sold their houses, quit their jobs, left their fields to rot. Many of them were farmers. And on October 22nd, many of them either gathered in churches, in homes, or on hilltops to wait to be raptured.
Wow.
They were up there on the 21st at midnight and stood up there all night and were still there the next morning. So no rapture obviously occurred. And this led to widespread despair, and even with some of his followers ending their own lives.
Oh, dang.
And, they sold their houses, lost their livelihoods, etc. They even would, from the money they sold, they paid to have, tracts and, newspaper ads printed for people, what to do after the rapture or the rapture's happening. So that's why it's called the Great Disappointment. The next really well-known one was in 2011. It was Harold Camping, and I remember this one. It was predicted by Harold Camping, a former civil engineer who then had a Christian-based radio program, and he used numerology to dictate that on May 21st of 2011, it would be exactly 7,000 years from Noah's flood. And for some reason, that equated to the day Jesus came back. I don't know, 7 was a special number or something. He spent over $100 million of his donors' money to his radio station
Shoot.
on billboards, which said Judgment Day, May 21st, 2011. And I remember these, like in my hometown,
Really?
people having them in their like their front lawn, little signs
No
about
way.
the rapture. He predicted massive earthquakes around the world and that about 200 million believers would be raptured, followed by 5 months of hell on earth.
Why 5 months?
I don't know. It doesn't really line up with any teachings in the Bible, whether you believe in rapture before or ever.
It's not like he made that up.
Yeah, right.
That last part.
He amassed a global audience of 200,000 core believers that were really tracking with him.
Dang.
He urged them to quit their jobs, sell all their possessions, and to spread the word via billboards and then caravans across the country preaching about Jesus coming back on May 21st. The day happened. The rapture didn't happen. And so Harold said, actually, it was a spiritual rapture. And the real rapture is going to happen on October 21st. I just was off by like 5 months.
He set a new date?
Yes.
Oh
Because he was really set on the
God.
21st thing. But he's like, I was off by like 5 months.
Dude.
I think it was the whole 5 months of hell on earth. Okay, it's after that.
Yeah.
Well, he died about 2 years later in the midst of many lawsuits. His donors sued him because he spent $100 million of their money.
Of course. Yeah.
And then also people sued him for like, they sold their house and things
Yeah.
like that. I don't think anything really came of the lawsuits because like he died and
For sure.
I guess it was discretionary spending. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last kind of one of recent years, other than the one that's supposed to happen in 2 days, was the 2015 blood moon rapture predictions. So the 2015 rapture predictions were supposed to be the climactic end of there being 4 blood moons that happened in about an 18-month period, all on Jewish feast days, which might sound kind of wild, but Jewish feast days follow a lunar calendar, so they're always on full moons
Gotcha.
by and large. But they tie this in that there was going to be blood moons, which is like lunar eclipses, and that this was a fulfillment of a verse in Joel 2:31, which says that in the end times, the moon will be turned to blood. So they're like, there's 4 blood moons in 18 months. And the last one was on September 28th, 2015. And John Hagee and many other leaders claimed that these blood moons were a sign of the end times, with some going as far to say, like, the rapture is happening. And if the rapture isn't happening, it is the beginning of 7 years of tribulation.
Okay. I can get behind that more than the rapture happening.
Exactly, yeah. So John Hagee was more specifically, because of the whole day and the hour thing, he believed we can't know the exact date. He was kind of like, this is the beginning of the end situation. Right. So he wrote a book called The 4 Blood Moons, which sold over 1 million copies, and he had a film and TV special made by the same name, which aired to like over 20 million people, and a lot of people bought it too.
Wow.
And the final of the 4 eclipses happened on September 28th, but there was no rapture.
Yeah.
And this one also impacted me personally, because during that time of the fall of 2015, I was a part of a small group through the college I went to, where the lovely leaders, they were actually friends, parents of one of my friends, were really into this whole blood moon thing. And they had us watch the videos. And we're going to have us read the book. I only stuck around for the first one. They were also very into following the Jewish feasts, even as a Christian. So it was all very connected to them.
Yeah.
And they wanted to take us to a gun range to learn how to shoot. They were going to teach us how to stockpile 3 months of food. And they believed it was the beginning of the 7 years of tribulation. So they weren't teaching that the rapture was going to happen, but that like
it's
the
going
last
down.
blood moon. They told us to have our family come into town because Kansas City was supposed to be protected or something. And after sitting through that for about 2 hours, and they're like, this is what we're going to focus on this whole next semester, I kindly emailed them when I got home and said that I am living as if I will still be here in a couple decades.
In 2022.
Yes. Therefore, I don't want to pretend for a semester that I think that
Yeah.
You know,
Honestly,
the blood moon's going to make something happen.
Honestly, though, I would have stuck around just for the gun training and like the stockpiling stuff, just because I like that. You know, it's practical stuff, but wacky people.
Yes, yeah. So there's, like I said, there's many more false rapture predictions I could discuss. Like there was a book published, like 88 Reasons Why Jesus Will Return in 1988, and then he didn't come. And so the guy wrote a book, 89 Reasons Why Jesus Will Return in 1889.
Are you kidding
me? It's wild.
me?
And it really has impacted many people. Like I mentioned, people have left the faith, left going to church, and
Absolutely.
has led hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of non-Christians to be evangelized to, with the main message of the rapture is happening on a specific date.
That's the most dangerous part about this whole thing, is that the message of Jesus is preached with the premise being, hey, get out of hell.
Yes.
Like, get out of hell free card, instead of there's a God out there that loves you and cares for you and wants the best for you, wants to be your father. And anybody who has their foundation of their faith be, you know, I want to not go to hell, or I want to be caught up and have this tribulation pass me over so I don't have to suffer. I think this is not the right reason to become a Christian. God can use that, and that can turn into the right reason. I feel like that's part of my story. But ultimately, it's so unhelpful to have somebody become a Christian out of fear rather than out of an understanding of what Jesus did for them on the cross. And
the message isn't about Jesus' sacrifice. It's like, he's coming. You're going to get left behind. So you got to make it happen.
Yeah.
Growing up, like I mentioned, like I definitely was hardcore into believing in the rapture. Today, I'm very open-handed. Like, I think it would be amazing as believers if we got raptured before 7 years of tribulation, which even talking about sounds wild. Like, I actually believe the Bible that talks about like a literal judgment on the earth. Like, and some pretty crazy stuff, whereas many Christian denominations just believe it's all figurative. So I think either way, I mean, that'd be awesome if we get raptured. If not, we're going to be with Jesus either way.
Yeah.
But growing up, it was a bit of a fear of mine, getting raptured, because I really wanted to live life.
Yeah.
And I didn't have an understanding that like eternity with God is going to be far better than here on earth. Yeah. And so I knew that it said nobody knows the day or the hour. So whenever I think about eternity or getting raptured, I would think about it, because then God couldn't rapture now because I was thinking of the day and the hour and he couldn't do it. So I was going to outsmart God.
You played the system.
Yeah.
Look at you.
In my, 12-year-old brain, it really worked. My brother one time, my parents were, I think they ran out to the store or whatever. And he went to our living room and dropped a pile of clothes in the middle and then hid. And I walked into the living room and just saw his clothes laying there. And I thought that everybody had been raptured and I was left behind. And I was quite distraught. But I wasn't. So he was just hiding in his underwear somewhere. But yeah.
Really, the joke's on him because he has to come out in his underwear, pick up his clothes.
Yeah. So kind of to sum it up, no, the rapture is not happening this week. And I could get into some more theological discussions on certain things that even if you do believe in the rapture before the tribulation, that need to happen before that's even going to happen. So I think that people like Joshua Mhlakela and Tim Henderson are actually doing a great disservice to the body of Christ. And it'll be really interesting on Friday to hear what they have to say when we're all still here. They're
cult leaders.
Yeah, in a sense.
Well, one of the things we learned about cults is that they use the future, like an escape hatch from suffering in the future, as a draw to whatever thing that they want you to get involved in.
An element of fear behind it.
Yeah, a huge element of fear behind it. And this is just using an element of fear. And I'm sure that they're profiting somehow.
I mean, people are at least watching their YouTube channels.
Yeah, whether that's by YouTube or whether that's by people paying them, or whether that's just them feeling better about themselves because they think they're doing a service and that's feeding their ego or whatever. This is a classic sign of a cult, or what is a very dangerous leader of
Exactly.
of somebody who you think of an organization you think is trying to do
who's
well.
left pastoring to work on themselves.
Yeah, like what is that in the first place? That is such garbage. But it makes me so like this is one thing that actually does get me riled up is that people sell their houses. People leave their jobs, cut ties with family members. Like no wonder there were suicides after a couple of these instances where the rapture didn't happen is because people are sold out. Like they sold everything and then they're embarrassed to go back to their life and be like, well, you know, I'm still living next to my neighbor who I told I was going to be gone. And now I don't have a job and I have a family to support and I'm embarrassed and my whole livelihood is taken from me because of this one person I believed in. That kind of stuff really like just makes me so angry at the leaders who can look people in the eye and tell them like this is the day that the Lord's coming.
Yes.
When it clearly says in the Bible, we have no idea.
Yes.
Not even Jesus knows.
Yeah.
And yet for some reason we have the right to tell people sell it all.
It's going to be on
Get rid of
Wednesday.
it. Yeah, it's on Wednesday. By the way, worst day of the week. Should have just picked Friday or Saturday.
But has to line up with the Feast of
I
Trumpets.
know. I know.
Jesus came and told him allegedly. So
I know.
I don't know who was talking to him, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't Jesus.
Great topic, though.
Thank you.
Loved it.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to do it. In light of these predictions for happening either Wednesday or Thursday, leaving it open.
Wednesday or Thursday. I'll recant everything I just said if it happens on Wednesday or Thursday.
Well, we won't be here.
You know what? If I'm this angry at this guy for saying this,
believe.
I know I might
behind.
not be a believer.
Yeah.
I at least don't believe in him.
Exactly.
I don't believe in him at all.
My uncle used to joke because growing up, we went to a church that had services on Sunday and Saturday night, and we'd go on Saturday night. So he would always tell us that we were going to get raptured last because we were Saturday night Christians, and like you should go to church on Sundays, which kind of scared me. I was like, oh no.
Absolutely. That stuff as a kid,
Yeah.
that'll scar you for sure.